to feeling great and feeling fine. And it goes like this. I feel great, I feel fine, I feel this way all the time. Come on.
I feel great, I feel fine, I feel this way all the time.
All right. Keep your blood circulating for a few minutes anyway.
We start saving and do that.
Yes. First one to scores, that's the cue. We all have to get up and do that again. How many VPEDs do we have in the audience today? Vice Presidents of Education. Want to be? Oh, okay, let me correct myself. Either presently or incoming, or some. Okay. All right, it is a daunting challenge now to get people through the Competent Leadership Manual. What I'd like to point out first, though, is Toastmasters is a communication and leadership program, not or leadership. Not communication is the main. Oh, come on! I'm getting older. Have you seen him older? The main course, that's what I was looking for, and leadership kind of a side course. They go hand in hand, like meat and potatoes, like bacon and eggs, like two sides of a coin, heads and tails. One doesn't work without the other. We need to understand this. The reason is, how do you lead if you can't communicate? Likewise, what's the point of communicating if you're not leading somebody somewhere? Who may be agreeing with you or taking action, following your advice, or just entertaining them. You want to lead them into a variety of emotions as you tell them stories, whatever. You have a purpose every time you communicate, and that purpose is trying to lead people someplace. And just as communication has skills that you can learn, so does leadership. The Competent Leadership Manual is the first step on the leadership scale. The problem that I ran into with the CL manual is it was very confusing. I got my first CL the old way. What is now the Advanced Leader Bronze used to be the CL. And they moved it up and slipped this manual in under it. And I found that manual very confusing, and I made a lot of mistakes in it. But I went through it, and I did end up completing it, and I did it again, and I made a lot of mistakes in that one too. And then I was made Vice President of Education, and I said, we've got to change this somehow. And I sat down with the manual and studied it and made charts about it and so forth to try to figure it out. And then Arlinda, who is my wife and also was the president of the company at the time, of the club at the time, and I sat down with all of our club members one at a time and talked about what they needed and what they wanted to accomplish, but also what they had already done. I audited the CL manuals, some of them were already working on, to see where they stood. And the reason was I wanted to build a plan. And I'd have to know where every club member was on their journey in order to help them get to the end of the journey. So that's what we did. See if this works now. There we go. All right. The Competent Leadership Manual has 45 roles divided among 10 projects. But you don't have to complete 45 roles. There are shortcuts. But I had to figure that out because that didn't come in the manual saying here's the shortcut, here's the quickest way to get there. You need to complete either 21 or 22 of the roles in order to complete the manual. 21 or 22 because project number 10 gives you a choice. Do two things or do one. A little more difficult project. And I've heard it said that you can get through the manual, therefore, in 21 weeks. Well, that's not quite true. Not the way the roles are divided up. It's very difficult to do that. So let's take a look at what is in the manual. Starts with listening. Now, I was very pleased to hear Sheila this morning as our keynote speaker talking about how communication and leadership were actually one and the same, and the most important skill is listening, and that is the first skill you start working on. Yes, and it is okay to ask questions. You can ask good questions and you can ask great questions, and the difference is, if I know the answer, it's a great question.
My question is, I'm a new member and I brought a guest.
Okay.
We both don't know what the CL manual
Oh,
actually
I'm very sorry.
So if we can start us off with the basics, that would be fantastic.
Okay, actually, this will be the basic. It is a 10-project manual. I'm going to talk about the first project, then the second, and all the way through to the 10th. But it is a manual, just as the Competent Communication Manual teaches you the 10 basic skills of communicating. Competent Leadership Manual teaches you 10 basic skills of leadership. And I lose thought so quickly.
And when you receive your manuals as a new member, you get one
Yes.
CC manual and one CL manual.
They both come with your new member kit.
I got them.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
thank you.
Okay, so that's what this is about. It is the 10 skills that you will learn in leadership. You know, communication is what we learn in Toastmasters when we work the communication manual, is how to develop the skills to communicate. But how do we put them to use? Leadership is where we put them to use. Leadership is the practical application of communication skills. So, as I was saying, they do both go hand in hand. Again, the first project in the manual is listening. There are 4 different roles that you can work on your listening skills, and we'll talk about each of them. But why do you need to listen? Surely Sheila covered a bunch of that this morning for us. You need to know what's going on. If you're going to succeed in business or with your family or with an organization or whatever it is you want to apply leadership skills to, you need to be aware. And one of the ways, of course, is to read the papers or magazines or catch the news on television. You should know what's going on in the economy. You should know what's going on in your community, with your family, with your employees, with your customers, and so on. That's all part of listening. But how do you develop the listening skills? The 4 projects that we'll talk about here are things that you already do in your clubs. And one thing I recommend people do is, when you're going to get your club involved in working on the leadership side of it and going through the leadership manual, have them pair off. Have a buddy, and you swap your manuals with that same person each time. Otherwise, you're going through trying to find someone at the last minute to evaluate, and that doesn't give them time maybe to study the project and know what they're looking for. How many of you have read the manual? Okay. How many have completed their first competent leadership? Okay, good. Speech evaluation. This one, any listening role I do, I prefer to not watch the person who's talking. Now, that's a personal choice, but I get very distracted by what I see visually. And my focus is listening. I like to look at the paper instead that I'm making my notes on. It's up to you. On speech evaluation, that may not be the best thing because you're going to evaluate the speech and you don't want to evaluate only what you heard. But on the other ones, you can. Table topics. Now, here's an opportunity that everyone should be able to get signed off. If you are, let's say, the joke master, the vote counter, and in our club we have the videographer, and we have a goodie master and a greeter. We have a number of other roles that aren't represented in the Competent Leadership Manual. Any of those people are going to be called upon by the topic master. They know that ahead of time because they don't have a significant speaking role, and it is the job of every club to make sure that every member has an opportunity to speak. Okay, I see people with eyes closed.
My eyes are closed because I walk outside and they're kind of itchy, so
Okay.
if I close them, then they're not gonna
There
itch.
wasn't you, but okay.
It's getting better to get to it for
Anyway, people will know ahead of time if they're going to be called on as a topic speaker for sure, because they don't have another significant role. And if you don't have another significant role, you're not going to get your CL manual signed off by anybody for anything else anyway. So make sure that someone signs you off in project one for listening. And it's your job then to listen to what people are saying and what the topic is, so that when you give your topic, you can represent that you clearly understood that topic. The odd counter, of course, is someone who has to pay attention with their ears. And in that case, and with the grammarian, when I have those roles, I do not watch anyone else throughout the meeting. I listen, because I don't multitask real well, and my eyes will distract me from my hearing, vice versa. Yes?
On your list here, on the paper, one of the handouts, you have the grammarian crossed out.
I will get to that. That's
Oh, okay.
part of the map.
Oh, okay.
Which three, and that's a timely point, which three are the ones to pay attention to? I will explain why by the time we get to the end of this, but grammarian is one I would cross off at this point. Next, we have critical thinking. Only two of these three are required. Once again, you have a speech evaluator. Why does that require critical thinking?
You're offering feedback.
That's right. But there is also a feedback project in the CL manual. You have to understand what the project the speaker was trying to do and think critically about whether or not he accomplished it. What were his goals? What project was he working on? So it's an opportunity to practice critical thinking. So is grammarian. You have to think about the English language as you're listening to everyone speak. And the general evaluator also has to pay attention to everything going on, because he has to give a report at the end of the meeting on how well everything went. Successful leaders use their listening skills to gather information, carefully analyze it, interpret it, and understand it. Giving feedback is the next project. Now, how do your members know if they're doing well or how to do it better? The feedback. That's what Toastmasters is all about. Roles that give you an opportunity to give feedback, and in this case, all three are required. So you won't see any scratch, because 3 out of 3 are required to complete this project. So you obviously give feedback as a speech evaluator, and as a grammarian, and as the general evaluator. Next, we have time management. And this particular one, and this is the one I've always messed up on, and when we auditioned the CL manuals of our club members to see where they stood, everyone had messed up on this one, because only 2 are required. One of them is being the timekeeper, and any one of the others. What people would do, though, is they're maybe a Toastmaster now, and they've already completed that project, but they didn't pay attention to the fact that they completed it. And that's the first Toastmaster they see in the manual, so they give that to somebody to have them evaluate. But speaker, grammarian, and topic master are the other ones. Only one of those. What we will talk about as we get to the end of this and summarize is some of these are repeated many times throughout the manual, but it would take you forever to get through the manual if you wanted to do them every time. Planning and implementation. 3 of these 4 are required. First, you have the speaker. Of course, you have to plan your speech, not just the topic, but your time frame. Keep your points within time. I've found that the easiest way to do a 5 to 7 minute speech is an opening, 3 table topics, and a close. We all know how do a table topic, that's 1 to 2 minutes. 3 of those gives you 3 to 6 minutes. Your opening and close rounds you out with a 5 to 7 minute speech. So cover 3 points in your 5 to 7 minute speech. Planning and implementation, of course, also is a skill that you can develop as you're the general evaluator. And the reason, of course, is you're running the evaluation team. You need to know ahead of time that everyone's going to be there, ready to do their job. They know what their job is. That's all taken care of so that the meeting runs smoothly. Toastmaster has a similar role. Has to make sure the whole meeting runs properly. Of course, in our club and most clubs that I've seen, you keep the time within the time frame you want by varying the amount of people who are called up for table topics. If you're running short, you call fewer people. If you have 2 icebreakers, so you have a lot of extra time, you'll be calling on maybe everyone. And topic master is the final one. Same thing, you have to plan ahead of time what your topics might be, unlike the contest where it's one topic for everyone and everyone's out of the room. The next contestants are, you have a different question for each person, and it's an opportunity for each to think on their feet with a different question. Organization and delegation. Okay, this is one of the ones that will hang up the completion of it because it's not one of the roles. The first 5 projects are all roles that you perform in your club. This one is not. This one is something that you're going to help somebody with. And projects 8 and 10 will get into more detail on the people who are running those events. But you're going to help somebody with an event, and some of the events that you're going to help with are, you can help with a speech contest. Every club should have 2 speech contests a year, one in August, one in February. You can help with organizing a special event. There are lots of kinds of special events. Our club happens to have an anniversary party in September because we were chartered in September 1956. We do an open house in November. We do an awards dinner in generally March or April. This is where the club honors the people who were the best speakers, the best table topics, or the best topic masters, or whatever. It's up to the committee each time to decide what the awards will be. Yes?
One more question, on the help organize special events, does that have to be within Toastmasters, or?
All projects have to be signed off by a Toastmaster, so they have to be present.
Right, but can it be a special event that's not at your club,
Oh,
but you
yeah.
have a fellow Toastmaster,
Yes,
you
Yes.
can do that?
you can do that with speeches too.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's special events. Campaign for public relations or membership. This is something that has to be done. People cannot complete their competent leadership manual without being a chair, that's Project 8, of either a public relations campaign or a membership campaign or contest. And Project 8 is about team building, so they have to have a team. That means helpers. And so what people in our club do is, you need to do complete Project 8. I will be one of your helpers because I will need to complete it too, and you'll be one of my helpers. So we buddy up in that regard. But if you want to complete the manual, you have to help somebody with something, and this includes the membership or PR campaigns. You can help somebody who is your club newsletter editor as well, or club webmaster, help that. So you just have to help, and that helps you.
I have a question.
Yes.
What is that, webmaster, is that a separate officer position?
It's not an officer, it's just somebody who does it for the club.
Okay.
Same as newsletter editor.
But I
Both.
thought newsletter was for the secretary, so where would webmaster be?
Well, technically, a newsletter
PR.
is PR, and so is webmaster. newsletter could be either membership or PR. The difference between public relations and vice president of public relations, vice president of membership. Vice president of public relations is outreach to people we don't know to get them to the club. And once they've put their butt in a seat, then it's membership's job to help them become members and to stay as a member. So conversion to membership and retention of membership are both vice president membership's job. So a newsletter, if it's primarily for the club people to help them want to continue, could be done by membership as well as public relations. So that one's either or.
If I can offer something real quick?
Sure.
This is an excellent opportunity for 7 officers to form their committees. So the webmaster or the newsletter editor is part of the committee for either PR or membership or
Right.
both.
Right.
So it's a way to get other members of the club involved and invested into what's going on. And these are excellent opportunities to get these projects done.
Excellent. And that also helps prepare the person to step into that role during the next term.
So if they're helping with the newsletter or the webmaster, does it mean that they're helping for just a month or?
It's up to the club. That's not defined.
Okay.
It's up to the club. And same, in our club, for example, we have a public relations campaign and membership campaigns by the quarter. But it's not defined as that. So it could be 60 days. It could be whatever seems reasonable to work a project through. So that would depend on the project. Okay, next we have facilitation skills. 2 of these 4 are required. You want to establish the structure the team needs to function effectively. And the roles for this include, of course, the Toastmaster and the general evaluator. The topic master, I'm speeding things up here because this is, I want to have time for you to do some kind of workshop type thing with the forms that I provided at the end. Befriend a guest, this one has changed a little bit. In the first CL manuals, that's all it meant was befriend a guest. Make them feel welcome and so forth. In the newer CL manuals, I've noticed they have to become a member before he can get credit. So whoever's most responsible for them is what you'll find now. Number 8, motivating people. Again, this is the one where you cannot complete this one without chairing a public relations or membership campaign or contest. And so you have to do one of those or plus, 2 of these others, Toastmaster, speech evaluator, and general evaluator. Again, those Toastmasters and general evaluators keep popping up.
Question, the way I interpret this, and I haven't had very many people agree with me, is that you can also do both of the first 2 plus 1 of the others. Because I think it says you have to do at least 1 of these 2, and you need to do a total of 3. So it seems to me you can share both.
Okay, I've never heard the interpretation that way. You may be right. I don't know. I can't answer that. So that was a good question, not a great one, because I've never heard it. Okay, mentoring. One of 3 of these is required. New members need to be mentored. Your club needs to have a mentoring program if it doesn't already. Have somebody be a mentoring chair and assign a mentor to everyone and teach them how to mentor. How to mentor is basically going over each project at the very least the first time someone's going through it, whether it's a role in the club or their speech projects, to help them do that. But experienced members also need to be mentored. Everyone can improve. No one is perfect. There's always room, and everyone, even someone who's brand new, still is a part of an audience. And how a speech affects them is just as important as how it affects anyone else. So experienced members can be mentored too, but you can also be a high-performance leadership guide, HPL guide. High-performance leadership is a program where you decide on a project. It does not have to be a Toastmaster project, but you need to put 2 teams together. One is your guidance committee to help you with, by giving you feedback after every step of the project, and then a team to work the project through. Being a member of the guidance committee also satisfies that role. And then we have team building, and this is where you can do either Toastmaster and general evaluator, or you can be a membership campaign chair, a public relations chair, chair a speech contest, chair a special event, editor of the newsletter, or the club webmaster. And again, it's a team building thing, so you can't do any of these by yourself and get credit. You have to have helpers, and that's where you get the people from Project 6.
Would be Toastmaster and general evaluator in the same meeting?
No.
No,
Yeah.
no, 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 that's two different meetings.
Oh, that, I see what you're saying now, I see. Okay, never mind. Got it.
Now, here's the problem. There are 6 different projects where general evaluator is one of the roles. There are 5, whoops, sorry. There are 5 where Toastmaster is one of the roles, 4 each for speech evaluator and grammarian, topic master 3, speaker, PR, or mem chair 2, projects 8 or 10, and all others there are 1. The reason that's a problem is how frequently do the roles come up? If you have a club, for example, with 20 members, and you do 3 speeches a meeting, then speech roles come up 3 times as often, as do speech evaluation roles, as anything else in the meeting. Everything else, you get 1 per meeting. So if you have 20 members, it's going to be 20 weeks, in all likelihood, before you are Toastmaster a second time, or general evaluator a second time, or any of the others. So looking back at the previous one, grammarian only comes up once every, there are 4 projects for grammarian in it, but they only come up 1 per meeting, so it might take 20 weeks to do that. However, speech evaluator comes up probably three times per meeting. There are 3 speech evaluators per meeting, so they come up 3 times as often. So that's the first thing I looked at, is how can I scratch as many Toastmasters, general evaluators, topic masters, and everything else, and include speakers and speech evaluators. And that's where I came up with, get through this quickly. Okay. This is what you would like to accomplish. Only 1 of the 6 general evaluator roles, 1 of the 5 Toastmaster, 1 of the 4 grammarian, and so on. You want both speaker roles, all 4 evaluator roles, 1 each of all the other meeting roles, 1 PR membership chair, 1 event helper role, 1 new member, and 1 befriend a guest. That doesn't add up to the 21 projects required. So you do need to double up somewhere. Looking at it, of course, back on project number 3, you had to have 3 out of the 3 of those, and they included some of these 1 per meeting roles. So what I developed is what's in your hand. I went through and analyzed them all, scratched off as many of the ones that come up frequently in the projects, but only once a week, or 1 per week in the club. And that's what we use in our club. That's the bottom half. One of the things that I also developed was a quick tracking form for myself, where you can see that across the top I have the projects, 1 through 5, 7, 8, and 10 all include roles. 6 is a helper. 8 and 10 have the chairing a membership or chairing a PR campaign. 9 is mentoring or HPL guide. And then 10 is the other types of projects you might do. I then identified, this is zoomed in a little closer, I then identified on the bottom here, 2 strategies, showing not the number of times they appear as it did on the top, but the actual project number that I want people to do on the bottom. And you will get a copy of this one, assuming you put your, the spreadsheet, assuming you put your email on that form somewhere around. So strategy one, all I would do is copy that row onto a new member's name, keeping them alphabetical. And then I could track every time they did, if they did, for example, their speaker or Toastmaster role, I would delete the 5 there and put it on a different form.
So I have a question. So like under SE, it says like 1,238. Does that mean project
No, that's-
1, 2, 3,
Yes, 3 and 8. 1, 2, 3, and 8.
Thank you. I think it's,
And again, SE, speech evaluator, comes up 3 times as often, so I get every one of those in. And I ended up with 2 general evaluator out of the 6, 1 Toastmaster out of the 5, and I don't remember now.
and then in
Topic.
column A, those are your different members?
I'm sorry?
Those are the different members, Ken, 7,
The
7,
names,
8?
yes, are different members. Now, one of the things that I also did was, I don't think anyone should work for free. So if somebody has completed projects, and I'll show you how I worked through that, but if they've completed any of the projects I was going to assign to them, I don't want them to do the job and not get paid. So I would encourage them to get another CL manual and start working them. And then, so we do have ones like our Linda there, who was up to her 8th manual. I'm up to 12 on mine, and Terry's up to 4, etc. So what I would send them, though, is, and this is what I'll have you do, is work out with the forms that our Linda will pass out, a schedule for the members that you see on that form, keeping both things in mind. When was the last time they did a project? And on the form, you'll see that it has a number under each column for each person. The number is the number of weeks since they last did that project. So it's easy to see whoever's got the biggest number is the one on the Toastmaster column should be the Toastmaster, as an example. The biggest number under speaker columns should be the speakers, and so on.
So are you tracking your whole club on the spreadsheet?
Yes. I send them, when as VP Ed, when I develop the schedule, then I just send an email saying, here's your names, here's the role you're going to have, and here is the recommended manual, if you have more than one manual, and project number to have recorded. And then afterwards, I'd send one more email saying, please confirm that you had that done. And then my records continue to match theirs. Okay, let's go ahead and get this workshop started. I'm just going to skip the rest of this. And our Linda will pass out some forms. It's not one for everyone. I want you to group together. Let's have groups of, let's just say 5 people in each group. Get together and look at the 2 different forms. Then you have a sheet to spread it out on. Again, one of your
I'm in 3 clubs.
That's my.
Joke master.
Oh, okay. I've done, when you got your manual, you got your package from Toastmasters. Yeah, you got the CL.
All right, sure.
That's why
I mean, I sort of, in general,
this is a summary of what it is.
I sort of follow what he's doing, but basically,
The biggest thing, when I opened it, I had to realize Then
You
you
have
point it out.
one here
You don't have
that
to
shows
do
what I
everything
was
on
just
this
talking
record. You
about,
only have
numbers,
three
I
hours.
appreciate that.
which role
mindset
that
that
people
have.
need filled in,
I can get them to send
and
it
then,
2 or 3 weeks in
where's the other
advance.
one? That's the one you work on.
Statisticians.
One more.
That's a lot.
Arlinda,
How many people in this show?
there's one more form.
Well, what is the problem?
No.
So many people.
You should appreciate.
The CL manual is like.
It's an interesting concept that you thought about.
Okay, now that shows you
Yeah.
the names are across here, and then the roles are down
Yeah,
here.
some of them are really challenging.
I put that on show me.
What's up in our
Because my company.
Try to keep both of them in mind.
That would be my best.
We don't have a captive audience.
Yes, that's like.
I don't have the issue with my club being.
So we said, okay, whenever speakers in paper, every opportunity to speak.
Excuse me, one question was asked here that may apply to others as well. What happens if people sign up for their roles? Anybody else have that kind of club?
What's that?
Yeah, we do.
You still need to see who's doing what, because you need to encourage people to take a role that they might not be taking. I had a friend who I recommended into Toastmasters, lived in Sunnyvale. He joined a club there. I saw him a year later, asked him how he's doing. Oh, I'm Sergeant at Arms. Well, how are you doing with your speech? Yeah, no, your CC. I haven't given my first speech yet. It was a sign-up club. Even if you allow people to sign up, you need to keep track if somebody's done something or needs to do something and work with them to get them to do it. These are all skills they need to develop. Or this is the point of Toastmasters.
Oh, that's finding it out.
I've had that, and I don't get it. What else have you done?
Well, no, he didn't have this until.
Yeah, there's times when
Not everyone's going to
say,
say,
yeah, you know, mark me out.
I want to encourage them.
Yeah, we try and encourage everybody.
I don't think,
The one thing
I don't know if our officer really is doing anything.
6 months and they haven't given a response. Your VP of Ed needs to
Yeah, the
just
VP
schedule.
I would agree. Yeah, you can give it, give them time.
Then, have you seen enough for
Then
That's
we're
gonna
going
be
to
That's my goal.
and tell your VP of Ed what you want to do. I want to do it once a month, I want to do it, or look up every 2 months, I want to do it.
Yeah, I don't know what the project is.
What's he got on there?
And you see that's just once every 2 or 3 weeks. You know, for 2 weeks a year.
Yeah.
So if you do that, you know, basically, yeah, you're supposed to study a year. Not everyone's going to jump out and plan a speech contest. And my whole thing is break it up by city.
Ken?
And if 5 of you, make sure you exchange your CLs. Plenty open house.
What's our assignment here?
And they all get that.
To build a schedule, including information from both of the spreadsheets. You
So
want to keep in mind who
needs to
hasn't,
be a Toastmaster this week.
Free toast houses
Right.
and a spreadsheet.
but looking at, one, whether or not they're in line to be Toastmaster, and two, whether or not they need that as a role to complete in their CL manual, and which role. And so you would write, for example, Toastmaster Ken, manual 4, number.
Well, I guess you see, I do it by name,
So,
and then
and then you would build the, yeah. So the whole idea here is to balance both needs rather than just the
this
one.
way you got the record keeping. All you have to do is just hide the columns and it's got your record.
So who's over there?
Who's
I mean, I do too. It's one of my most strong.
Yeah.
This is a similar way I've done ours. But that's been and you've been a taste original?
They're putting us, you get
That was a little bit of East Coast, yeah.
And have you been having people sign you off on the CL menu? No, CL. When you're grammarian, you need to have somebody evaluate you in your CL and have it signed.
We went through this quickly.
That's what this is about.
I want to see
Well,
myself.
then you need to get that checked off. Is it CL?
Well, you know, you did group if you I don't want to
I'll start.
I did the same thing.
I focus more on yeah, but you know what? And when you can, the CL is like great company. It's great I don't know. Again, you know, I've done it
for a while.
you start to have the next CL manual.
We're out of time, folks.
We're getting some CLs out.
Yeah, we got it.
I've got one where
Toastmasters wants to give you a Toastmaster certification.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
and next time you're married, have somebody I need on project too.
So we don't have to do them in comps, but
You don't have to do it. You can do it in any order.
Did you
tighten up the system.